Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dynamic Ship Simulator 3 video. However, as I'm sure you can probably tell, this one is a bit different. In this video, I'll be playing a version of DSS3 from all of the way back in early 2018, before the game even officially released. I'm really excited for this video, so let's just go ahead and get started. My plan for this video is to get the best grinding ship in the game, which in this version is the heavy bulk carrier. But before we get into making money, I say we just take a look around the map real quick. So as I'm sure some of you probably know, DSS3 did not have a loading screen back in the day. Instead, you would be spawned in this lobby. Now in this version of the game, the lobby has a Christmas theme, but no matter what the lobby looked like, it always served the same purpose. All of these different boards were always here no matter what the lobby looked like, and they all did the same thing. This lobby is pretty cool though. Like over here you can see there are some cranes, and behind them a pretty cool looking building. And over here you can actually find someone just chilling out in a porta potty. Now all around the lobby there are these invisible walls that keep us from going too far out of bounds, and unfortunately we can't go into this back area. But in terms of how the lobby looks, that is pretty much it. Over here is the shop where you can see all of the ships that you own, and you can change their name and upgrade them. Of course, I do have the Coast Guard patrol boat, but as you may notice, I do also have the bulk carrier. This is because in the alpha and beta stages, the bulk carrier was the starter ship. The fishing cutter was not a starting boat until the game officially released. And also, I do have the LCVP Mark II for free, despite not actually finding it. I'm not 100% sure why I do, but the game passes in this test server are somewhat linked to the main game. For example, if I try purchasing one of these game passes, it says I already own it, so perhaps the badges are linked too. And since I already have the hidden badge number 1, I have the LCVP Mark II in this test server. Over here are the game pass boards and the information booth. And then, of course, we have the spawn boards. Now, I think the first place I do want to visit is Old Volin. So I am now spawned in, and as I'm sure you can see, it does still somewhat resemble Volin in the game today, but there are many differences. And one of those big differences is the Volin bridge that goes over the canal. This bridge is a staple of Old Volin and is something that I do really like even to this day. And on the right you can see that there is still a city, though it definitely looks much different from today. Now something pretty cool about Old Volin is that it did actually have a lifeboat station. And a little fun fact is that when the one on Puerto Ushuaia was made, it was just copied over from Old Volin. This is why you can still find the map of Old Volin on the one at Puerto Ushuaia. And when the lifeboat station on Puerto Ushuaia was being made, these old stairs were not needed. Because of this, they were placed under the map, and this is what gave birth to Stairland. Stairland is no longer in the game, but for a long time it was a really nice Easter egg within the community. Volin did also have this completely separate small island on the west side. The other port I'm going to take a look at is the port of Runit. But don't worry, I do plan on making another video where I give more in-depth tours of each port with no commentary. Now you can of course see some similarities to Runit in today's DSS3, but there are still some differences. One of those being this massive port control tower. It's pretty cool because you are actually able to go inside of it. While not in Runit in today's DSS3, you can still find this one on port 2. And inside it does provide a really great view of the whole port. And of course another big and noticeable difference is that there are two large buildings. On the east side, you can even see that there are some jet ski jumps. But now that we've gotten the mini tours out of the way, I think it's time to start making some money. So I'm going to go ahead and spawn the bulk carrier from this spawner that does look relatively the same as the one today, just with a few UI changes. And if you didn't notice it already with the Coast Guard patrol boat, I'm sure you'll notice pretty quickly that the wakes are pretty different from the ones we have today in DSS3. And we are now passing under the bridge. This is something that honestly never gets old. I really do enjoy this. And we are just now pulling up to the bulk terminal, so I'm going to go ahead and load the ship with bulk, and then I'm going to head over to the Nexo area on Bornholm, since I know there is a bulk terminal around that area. Alright, we are at the bulk terminal and we can make a whopping 7,000 credits. I know, it's big money here. I'm going to load up with bulk again and head over back towards Volin. That route only took about 5 minutes, which is really not a lot of time at all compared to the DSS3 times. I already think I know what ship I'm going to buy next, but once we get back to the port and sell our cargo, I'm going to go ahead and evaluate my choices. So I am pulling into the port of Volin right now, and it is pitch black out. This fog is insane. If you think the fog in current DSS3 is bad, this is just next level. I literally cannot see, like, at all in front of my ship. I'm going to take this very slow because I cannot see where anything is. But alright, I'm turning back around now because I did go past it, and there we go. So it seems that this ship only uses about 20% fuel from Volin to Nexo, which is pretty good. But now that we've sold, I'm going to go ahead and reset and look at some of the options we have for future ships. Now, I was planning on buying the oil tanker after the bulk carrier, but with how short these routes are and how low the income of the bulk carrier is, I'm really not making much money at all. So I was thinking about maybe buying the light container ship instead and then upgrading it, which should hopefully help me get to that oil tanker a bit faster. But before I do that, I think I'm going to go ahead and use the bulk carrier and go take a longer route, which hopefully will make me more money, and then I think after that I will choose if I want to buy the oil tanker or the light container ship. If I do buy the light container ship, I will then of course use that to buy the oil tanker. I won't just use the light container ship in replacement of the oil tanker. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to Tenerife. And I haven't talked much about this island yet in this video, and it's because it sort of isn't meant to exist yet. And what I mean by that is because this is an old test server, it was added before a bunch of other things were. Tenerife is in this game multiple updates early. As I said, this version of the game is before it was fully released. Yet despite that, Tenerife, an island added 3 updates after the game released, is in the game right now. But despite that, all of the things that came in the updates before it are not in the game yet, such as the G2 class carrier, fireboat, Trafalgar class submarine, light freighter, and the island of Haulline, the European class ferry. All of those things are not in the game yet, but Tenerife is. So it's sort of a weird situation. This is definitely a bit of a tricky port to get into with how this part over here sticks out. I'm definitely coming in at a bit of a weird angle. Alright, so we made 13,000 credits that time. I think that's about 5,000 more than the other route. So I think I'll continue doing this route for a bit. I still have 41% fuel, which means I think I used about 20% again, so I should definitely have enough to get back, but I'll probably want to refuel once I am back in Volin. Now that I've unloaded, I do now have enough money to buy the light container ship. Whether or not it's the best financial decision, I'm not sure, but I am going to go ahead and buy it because I do just want a change of ship. I don't really care about being the most efficient, I'm just trying to play it how I want to play. Alright, so I am at the ship spawner, and you do actually buy your ships from here, so I'm going to go ahead and buy the light container ship. And look at that, it even spawns it for you right away. Well, let's go ahead and do a cargo trip in this thing. So this version of DSS3 is actually around the time that I would have first started playing, maybe just a bit later. I was a beta tester for DSS3, meaning I would have been playing sometime around this version. However, I took a long break from DSS3 sometime around the official release of DSS3, I want to say just before. And I would occasionally join the game after that, but I never fully got back into DSS3 until 2021, and that's when I started making videos on the game. I've told this story a few times, but I remember being extremely confused when I joined back one time because I could not for the life of me find the lifeboat station on Volin. I could have sworn there had been one, but I just couldn't find it. Well, I hadn't realized in my long break that DSS3 had a completely new map and that the lifeboat station on Volin was gone. But I didn't realize that until maybe a year and a half later when I really got back into the game. So with that last cargo trip, I now do have enough money to buy the oil tanker. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for 120,000 credits. And it does make 5,000 credits per nautical mile, which is a nice little increase. However, I will say that all of the oil terminals are kind of out of the way and not a very convenient spot, so this will be a bit interesting. This first person view as we go down the Volin Canal is really quite a nice experience, I will say. So just to get to the oil terminal, I have to completely exit the Volin Canal and then head over to this whole nother area on my starboard side. And it is still like that to this day. And I don't really have any other choice but to use these oil terminals that aren't in the best positions because there's obviously no Haulline or Porto Ushuaia to go to, as those are not in the game yet. So we can now load up for 5,000 credits per nautical mile, and of course it did just have to start raining. But if we take a look at the map, we can see that there is an oil terminal at Tenerife and one at Rune. I think to start off I'll go to the one at Rune, but then I'll probably go to the one at Tenerife after that. Alright, so 13,000 credits on around a 5 or so minute trip isn't that bad. I think I'll maybe do sort of a triangle pattern where I go to Volin to Rune to Tenerife and then back to Volin, and I'll sort of repeat that process until I can afford the next ship, which should be the Alabama class container ship. So another 16,000 credits, not bad. And now I have to actually try to get out of this place. This is a very tight space right here. I think I might just have to try to reverse out of this. 27,000 credits from that one trip is pretty good, I will say that. And I've still got about half of my fuel left, so I think I'll probably refuel once I get to Runne, since I think that's probably the most convenient place to actually refuel. If I was going to refuel at Volin or Tenerife, I'd have to go into a completely new area, but at least with Runne, it's pretty much in the same area. I love how you can just see that Volin bridge over in the distance all lit up at night. If there's one thing I would want from old DSS3 and the new DSS3, it would probably be that bridge. It might have to be raised a bit or put in a new location because it is too short for some ships to get past it, but it looks so pretty both at day and at night, but mostly at night in my opinion. I just love how you can see it from no matter where you are. Of course the map is a lot bigger now, but you can still see it from decently far away, and it just looks really pretty lighting up the night sky. I don't usually get any time to tell you all some of these stories I have, so I hope you enjoy listening to them as much as I enjoy telling them. I've only bought credits in DSS3 twice, one on June 24th, 2019 for a reason I'm not sure of, and another time on July 20th, 2019. I do know why I bought those credits on the second occasion though, and it was so I could buy the Visby class Corvette. Now it may seem like a bad financial decision today, and to be fair I'm not going to act like it wasn't the best one back then either, but at the time there were a lot less PvP ships. The OHP had only been added 4 months ago, and at the time the Visby was the second best option. I didn't want to pay the Robux cost of the OHP, so instead I went for the Visby. I really liked the way the Visby looked, and to be fair, I still really do. The only other PvP ship in the game available for purchase at the time was the Etna class offshore patrol vessel, and I really knew I didn't want that. But for my first ever PvP ship, the Visby served me well. And with that last cargo trip completed, I now have enough money to buy the second best cargo ship in the game, the Alabama class container ship. It gives a pretty solid increase of 3,750 credits more than the oil tanker and does go a bit faster too. So as I'm sure you can see, the Alabama class container ship is obviously much larger than all the ships I've used previously. And with the way the camera is set up, I can't even see my full ship in view if I'm just looking forward. It's even a bit of a tight fit going under this bridge, though it does have room to spare. So now you can pull into the container terminal, load up with containers, and then I will be on my way. So Runne, Tenerife, Nexo, and obviously Volin do all have container terminals. However, Runne is kind of in an inconvenient place, so I don't think I'll be using that one. I think what I'm going to do is go from Volin to Nexo, Nexo to Volin, Volin to Tenerife, and then Tenerife back to Volin, and then I'll kind of repeat that cycle over and over again. I think that way I just get some variation and I can actually get to experience the different ports. I'm sure it'd get a bit boring if I use the same 2 over and over again, so at least with that I can use 3. Though it'll be interesting to see how this ship fits into the ports, especially Nexo. Nexo already is a very tight fit with the smaller ships, and this one is much bigger. It's mostly turning around that I'm worried about. I have to turn around in each one of these ports to head back, and it can definitely be a bit tighter in some of these smaller ports. Navigating this port is definitely very difficult with this ship, and with the bad weather my reduced visibility allowed me to not even see the markers, so I was outside of where I really should have been. I'm sure I'll definitely get better at navigating this port as I come here more, but if I don't and I find it's just too difficult, then I might have to stop coming to this port, honestly. This port is very small and unforgiving if you're not paying attention or if you're just too big. But 30,000 credits, that is very good. That was literally like a 5-minute trip and I got 30,000 credits from that. The heavy bulk carrier costs 400,000 credits and I think I'll be there in no time. I suppose I could also try to do the triangle route similar to what I did last time. I had proposed just going back to Volin after this, but I could just go straight to Tenerife and then do that triangle route. And of course this fog has to come in at the absolute worst time. There is a very, very small margin of error in this port and I cannot see the markers. Okay, there are some of them. I think I am navigating it somewhat fine. I know none of you have seen this yet, but underwater there are just a ton of different sandbanks that you really cannot afford to hit. Obviously with the fog, it may not seem as apparent, but there's a lot more water over there and you have to make sure you're coming in and out of this port at a very specific angle or else you will hit those sandbars. But I think I am out of the port now, so I'm going to turn to my starboard side and hopefully try to head over to Tenerife. But really hopefully this fog clears soon enough so I can actually see where I'm going. Yeah, so this is what I kind of meant. I think it's going to be a pretty difficult time actually turning this thing around in here. I guess it's letting me refuel too, so I guess I might as well take advantage of that. Yeah, but this is a very tight fit. I mean, I actually kinda can't believe I'm doing this right now. I mean, my ship is like taking up the entire port. So a little fun fact is that when I got Elite Sailor over 2 years ago, the Alabama was actually one of the very last ships I ever bought. If I recall correctly, it was the second to last ship I bought, only beaten by the Vanguard class submarine. I had a very weird progression path, and the Alabama was just something that I completely skipped. I actually went from the oil tanker to the heavy bulk carrier, and another little mostly unknown fun fact is that if you go back to my very first DSS3 video, you can actually see me buying the heavy bulk carrier in that video. I just find it a bit funny how the Alabama class container ship, a ship most people buy fairly early on in the game, was one of the last things that I ever bought. But with this next cargo trip, it will put me just over 400,000 credits, meaning I can buy the best grinding ship in this version of DSS3, the heavy bulk carrier. So now let's go ahead and buy it. 400,000 credits and 13,500 credits per nautical mile. That is a very, very large increase over the Alabama class container ship. So obviously there is no better grinding ship than the heavy bulk carrier, but it'd be wrong to buy it and then just not use it at all. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do my triangle route one last time. So let's go ahead and buy this thing, and there it is. Now obviously this ship is very big, a lot bigger than the Alabama, and yet again, if I'm fully zoomed out, I still can't even fit the whole ship in my frame if I'm just looking forward. I don't even think I'm going to try to fit this thing into Nexo, because quite frankly I just don't think there's any way it would work. Instead, I think I'm just gonna run probably from Volin to Tenerife, as I think that's most likely the two biggest ports that can accommodate the ship the most. So those bulk cranes are just over there, and getting my ship into a position where I can actually unload is going to be a bit of a difficult time, I feel. It's just at such an awkward angle, though it actually might not be as bad as I was thinking it would be. I actually have a lot more room than I had first anticipated. I should just be able to pull right in here and then sell it for 34,000 credits it seems, and then hopefully just kind of reverse out of here and back into that area a little bit, and then just go straight out and hopefully to Tenerife. Yeah, so again, this is a very tight fit, and of course I have to come in at such a weird angle because this part sticks out right here. I'm probably going to end up having to use my docking thrusters so I can actually unload. Yeah, I just really don't think there's any other way because obviously I cannot pull straight into this bulk terminal. Another 42,000 credits, that is not bad at all. And now I'm gonna have to turn this thing around. Again, it's another very tight fit. So as I approach this bulk terminal, the final cargo trip that I will be doing in this video is coming to an end. I went all the way from the bulk carrier to the heavy bulk carrier and got a lot of ships in between. But with that last route, we made 67,000 credits. And there you have it, the longest route in the game with the best ship in the game. While this video may be coming to an end, as I said earlier, I do plan on making other videos in this version of DSS3. So this definitely won't be the last time you see some of these ships or the map itself. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did enjoy this video, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. But until next time, I will see you all later. Bye.